Have you ever got mad at a ref because the call was so bad and made absolutely no sense? Hello, this is Troll from Troll Talks Lacrosse, and today we will talk about stupid NLL rules that make absolutely zero sense, with the first one being Rule 26.3, Sponsorship Equipment Requirements. It's a pretty long paragraph, so I will summarize it for you. Basically, the NLL players are only allowed to wear equipment from lead sponsors such as Warrior or Gate Lacrosse, and a few other ones. These penalties don't happen often, but the most recent one was in 2019 in the fourth quarter of a game where the Georgia Swarm played the Buffalo Bandits. Sean Evans was given the penalty, an illegal equipment penalty to be sacked, which in the first place doesn't make sense, because this would be a delay of game penalty, not an illegal equipment. But nevertheless, the reason he got the penalty was because of his leggings. The NLL has many sponsors, but surprisingly, Nike is not one of them, and Sean Evans is one of the players who wears leggings while playing lacrosse. So the reason he got the penalty was because his leggings were Nike branded, which is just stupid. Like, players should be allowed to wear any brand because leggings aren't even protective lacrosse equipment, and it's a player's choice to wear them or not. I would understand if he was wearing unsponsored shoes or something, but leggings don't even get supplied to the player, and what makes it worse is that they called it in the fourth quarter, meaning it took almost an entire game to call that penalty. The next rule might make sense to some of you, but to me it makes absolutely no sense. The rule I'm talking about is Rule 41.4, Repeat Offender. Repeat offenders, if a player gets 2 game misconducts in 2 seasons, he will get an additional 2-game suspension. That doesn't sound bad because they made it a bit more fair over the years. Just 2 years ago, it was a 5-game suspension, but now it gets real crazy when you get 3-game misconducts in 2 years, because if you get 3, it's a minimum of an additional 5 games on top of that additional 2-game suspension, meaning you can miss almost half your season just for getting 3-game misconducts in 2 years. But what makes it worse is how inconsistent they have been over the years. Like in 2019, when Callum Crawford got 2 in 2 years back when it was a 5-game suspension, and he wasn't given a suspension until later on in the season when they suspended him for only 1 game. So what's the point of the rule if half the time the league doesn't go through with it? And if the NLL just gets to pick who they give it to, it doesn't seem very fair, does it? But in some cases it would make sense, like say someone purposely hit someone in the head, which caused them to sustain a head injury 2 times in 2 years. Then I would say that it's completely fair to give them a 5-game suspension, but any other game misconduct, this would be completely unfair. The next dumb rule we will talk about is Rule 77.3, Coach Fines and Suspension. This rule comes into play when the same player gets 2 head contact penalties in the same season, but for some reason, instead of just the player getting punished when he commits 2 major head contact penalties, the coach also gets punished, and a pretty hefty punishment of a minimum of $1,000 fine, which might not seem like a lot for a professional coach, but NLL coaches only make $40,000 to $80,000 a year, meaning a $1,000 fine is the equivalent to a $10 million athlete getting a $250,000 fine, and that's minimum, which is quite a lot for something you didn't do. What if it isn't the coach's fault, which it most likely isn't? Usually it's just the player being stupid. But all I know is the player that causes that fine is going to do a lot of running in practice. The fourth one we will talk about isn't really a rule, but nevertheless still stupid. Apparently, if you go to the referee signals section right at the end of the NLL rulebook and scroll down until you see spearing or headbutting, it turns out the ref has to smack himself in the face to call one of those penalties, which is just insanely funny and embarrassing. They look so disappointed in the player for getting that penalty. Well, that's it for this video, and if you made it this far, you probably liked my content, so if you want to watch more, you can watch YouTube recommended video on the right, or the latest video on the left. But make sure to like and subscribe, because it turns out only 8% of you are subscribed, so make sure to subscribe for weekly lacrosse content.
And here we go, it's Mitch Jones with the pass left side, they score!